Hello and welcome to Trashooze Reviews. Today I'd like to talk about Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge. This is an interpretation of yet another timeline that acts as a retelling of the events from the '95 film as seen through the lens of MKX using that game's design choices. I've seen a few reviewers take issue with the fact that it's yet another retelling, but the original narrative is the most structured and well-established NetherRealm or Midway has put together thus far. To be honest, any events in the MK series past the first 3 or perhaps 4 games are not as firmly established and have been consistently retconned, so it's nigh impossible for a casual fan to understand. And hopefully this is an issue that NetherRealm Studios can remedy in the future. This was done by Warner Brothers Animation Studios, but also looks suspiciously like old MK Defenders of the Realm, which is an excellent finishing touch that I'm a fan of. The animation itself looks great and is always super crisp and stylish, without any major noticeable drops in quality. Now, as for the movie itself, we get a sweet moment in the beginning where Scorpion, Hanzo Hasashi, and his son Satoshi are watching a Scorpion struggle to get through a pile of ants. Hanzo here, is teaching his son to have the will to face his issues head on. Hanzo and Satoshi get back to town to find that there is no one around and the streets are empty. That is until they're attacked by Lin Kuei members and they have to fight their way out to escape. From there they try to find the rest of their clan and they come upon the bodies of women, children, and the like. Satoshi would then come upon finding the body of his mother. Hanzo and his son just watch in awe. From there, the rage builds in Scorpion as Lin Kuei move in. Scorpion, however, sees red and is on the attack. He kills a bunch of Lin Kuei members, slicing them all like deli ham, until Sub-Zero kidnaps his son. Scorpion tries to negotiate getting his son back from Sub-Zero, when in a twist turn of events, Sub-Zero kills Satoshi. Scorpion threatens Sub-Zero and does what he can to try to escape, but it's rendered useless as Sub-Zero performs his fatality on Scorpion. From here we get our intro, which looks very reminiscent to Mortal Kombat 9's dragon design. Raiden is meditating in his temple, then suddenly lightning strikes as Liu Kang is sparring with Master Raiden. But apparently Liu Kang didn't realize that it was Raiden, which I don't know how you couldn't. Not many other people have lightning powers, but fair enough. Johnny Cage is up next, and he's basically living the life of BoJack Horseman. He's a failed martial artist on the outs and just looking for his next deal. With some heavily implied financial burdens, Johnny Cage's agent calls him up and invites him to the tournament. Next up, we got Sonya Blade fighting some bald schmuck in what seems to be the streets of China. This doesn't really seem to go much anywhere, but we see some cool fighting techniques. And it puts over Sonya Blade pretty strong, and from there, she also gets an invite to the tournament. Meanwhile, in the NetherRealm, Scorpion is all hell razored up, basically hanging from some chains, looking like a 2017 Samurai Jack. Moloch's brother pops up to punish him, testing out his blades, where we get to see that Moloch's brother here has some lava blood, which Scorpion would use said lava blood to get himself free from the chains. So Scorpion and Moloch's more intelligent brother would engage in some fighting for a moment, until Scorpion just sliced him in half. He then proceeds to take on thousands of NetherRealm's Oni baddies, until he gets to Quan Chi's throne. Scorpion and Quan Chi discuss things for a moment, and then Quan Chi twists Scorpion into a pretzel. From there, they decide to make a deal so that Scorpion fights for Quan Chi in the Mortal Kombat tournament. Johnny Cage gets on the boat and he meets our cast of characters, Liu Kang and Sonya Blade. And Johnny Cage seems to have a soft spot for Sonya, or should I say a hard spot. Johnny Cage seems to think this is just part of some stage play or movie, so he starts to just improv as he didn't get a script. We then see a dragon rub up against the ship that seems to look like Liu Kang-style dragon fatality from the old school Mortal Kombat games. And we see that as a means of showing how treacherous the waters are, and that the only reason that they're safe inside of that boat is due to Raiden. Our heroes arrive at Shang Tsung's island, and pulling up in a ship next to them is Scorpion and Quan Chi. The gang get off the ship, and Johnny Cage is there hot dogging and grandstanding. Raiden and Liu discuss Johnny Cage being there, as Liu doesn't seem to think that Johnny Cage being there makes a whole lot of sense, because he doesn't even know what's going on. And Raiden just doesn't feel like filling Johnny Cage in, because he's kind of got a fucked up sense of humor, I guess. Johnny Cage struggles getting his luggage up the stairs, but not nearly as bad as he did in the '95 movie. They enter Shang Tsung's palace, where we see the most hardcore arm wrestling match I've probably ever seen, where it appears Mortal Kombat Force Kai rips off the arm of his opponent. We see Reptile as he appears to be eating some sort of squid. Liu Kang sees what looks like a Motaro-type centaur. There's some people out here doing the classic test your might. Sonya notices some black dragon robots. There's a great Kung Lao cosplayer in the crowd. Johnny Cage checks out craft services with Natara, and from there we see Shang Tsung's dope entrance, who goes on to tell the story of how MK came to be. All the while, Scorpion's off fucking up some old school Mortal Kombat guards. Shang Tsung then introduces tonight's entertainment. He welcomes in Kano, who walks in with his MKX Mad Max design, and Shang Tsung's guards bring in Jax. Sonya drops a threat to Shang Tsung that Johnny Cage is turned on by. As Jax attempts to leave, the crowd gets hype with Goro chants. And here's Goro! Jax gets in a few shots before Goro fights back, and Jax gets bodied. Raiden and Scorpion backstage are having some words. Principal Lewis rips off Jax's arms, until Raiden steps in and one-shots Goro like a bitch. And with that, the tournament begins, I suppose, as Shang Tsung teleports contenders to remote parts throughout the island. The tournament rules of Mortal Kombat have always been dodgy at best, so basically we just get spots where we get to see people fight. Baraka and Johnny Cage are up next to fight, and this is kind of cool as we've seen something similar with the 2010 Mortal Kombat Rebirth trailer where it was Johnny Cage and Baraka, but this won't nearly be as cool as a fight as that, where Johnny Cage is basically just confused as to what's going on, he thinks they're acting, and Johnny Cage is just blocking and dodging Baraka's blades the whole time, until he jumps off from the balcony of a building, and the building crumbles onto Baraka. I guess it's kind of cool we see Johnny Cage flipping the bird though, and he says toasty, which doesn't really apply to a building breaking down, but sure, toasty. Sonya Blade and Reptile got next. Reptile has this predator vision that is stolen right from the films, but it still looks pretty dope. The scenery here is actually very reminiscent to the old Predator film in a tribute that I actually really appreciate. We get the MK9 striker spot where Reptile's just dodging all the bullets. We get that with Sonya now here. We also get a cool X-ray spot in the fight. And then heads up, we get Sonya decapitating Reptile for the win of this quick match. But still, visually really cool here, and much better than the Johnny Cage Baraka match we just saw. We then see Scorpion attack a Lin Kuei member and issue a threat to kill every Lin Kuei member on the island. But I guess this was the only Lin Kuei member on the island, because we never see another Lin Kuei member here again. Liu Kang versus Kitana is already in progress. Now, this is kind of a nothing fight. I do love the fact that they use the palace gates as their setting here, and they have the sun setting on it. It looks really great. There is some cool, like, side-scrolling looking action, where it looks like the 2D style of fighting, like in the games. We see her use her fan blades, which is pretty great. Then we just get Kitana and Liu Kang exposition on Liu Kang maybe not being the chosen one, or is the chosen one, or really is nothing in this film, so it doesn't matter. Liu Kang almost forgets the over-the-shoulder spot where they're talking to each other and it's like they're not looking at each other. It looks extra cheesy here. We cut to Raiden, Shang Tsung, and Quan Chi basically calling the play-by-play here and watching the tournament from a screen. They see that the Black Dragon are on their way and Raiden looks pissed. Sonya, Johnny, and Liu meet back up and discuss their fights. Sonya hits Johnny Cage in his Golden Globes. They hear off in the distance Scorpion killing mad Black Dragon members. And then they kind of talk about if they're going to fight in Mortal Kombat, and I guess they don't. And Scorpion just kind of chills with his crew now. Raiden then appears and tells them that it's time for your main event. But before that, we have one final detour with the Black Dragon. And of course, Sonya hits Cage in the balls again. But before we cut away to fighting the Black Dragon, there's a Black Dragon member spying on them. And Scorpion decides to kill that member as a favor to them. Kano and his Black Dragon ambush our gang of heroes, and Scorpion returns already, disguised as a Black Dragon member. There's a pretty great action scene here. Some notable spots with Sonya dominating the Black Dragon and Johnny Cage just falling in love. Liu Kang has some cool Matrix bullet dodge moves. And once they finish up with the Black Dragon here, Sub-Zero appears to take out Kano, claiming that Kano was disrespecting the tournament rules. And with that, Scorpion sees Sub-Zero, and it is on. And with that, your pseudo or false main event is at hand. Sub-Zero versus Scorpion. And really, this kind of goes by quick. You see some cool ice maneuvers from Sub-Zero. Some cool teleportation techniques from Scorpion. After Scorpion breaks Sub-Zero's arm and gets some X-ray moves in there, it's kind of just over. Scorpion tosses Sub-Zero over the ledge, and they both fall onto the spike pit. Scorpion sacrificed himself, getting impaled along with Sub-Zero. Yeah, not a really satisfying conclusion to Sub-Zero's arc here. You see him in the beginning, and he seems like he's going to be a big-time threat, and it just kind of turned into a quick fight. So, a little disappointing for Sub-Zero fans here. Sonya Blade runs off to go catch Kano, as it is her destiny to defeat him. And Johnny Cage's destiny, I guess, is to follow Sonya and have his balls crushed. So, there's that. Quan Chi then visits Scorpion at the bottom of the spike pit. And he unveils that he was disguised as Sub-Zero the whole time. You friggin' idiot. You're supposed to know that. So, I mean, I guess Quan Chi did disguise himself as Sub-Zero, but they explained that he convinced the Lin Kuei to, like, go on and kill all of Scorpion's clan. So, even though Sub-Zero's not at fault, the whole rest of the Lin Kuei still is. So, I kind of don't like that. I wish they would have switched it up and had it be, like, Oni demons that he cloaked as Lin Kuei member or something. And so, with Quan Chi dropping that pipe bomb on Scorpion, he leaves him there to just struggle on the spike, where Scorpion decides to push himself off from the spike in order to enact his revenge. Sonya then catches up with Kano, who has Jax all tied up, but before she can get to them, she has to fight all these dope-ass looking monsters, and she kind of realizes after getting a few hits, she's fucked, as the odds are stacked against her. Liu Kang meets up with Shang Tsung, who brings out Goro. But after seeing the giant monster Sonya has to face, and last time we saw Goro, he was one-shotted by Raiden, he really doesn't seem like that much of a threat. But nonetheless, we get Goro versus Liu Kang. Back to Sonya Blade, and with that fake 80s synth cheese music, Johnny Cage is here to save the day. He stomps the shit out of this tiger-looking thing, and Sonya just falls in love. Johnny must have learned his nutshot maneuver from Sonya. I just wrote this, so you can take that any way you want, but he does use it here against an opponent. They go back and forth, beating up a bunch of these demons together, which have some of the best designs that I recall seeing in the MK series. Right off the bat, we could see, like, Motaro, there's the Mortal Kombat X monster in there, and then they have something that looks straight out of the Devil May Cry anime. Back to Liu Kang, he's holding his own against Goro, until Shang Tsung tells him all bets are off, and not to hold anything back. And now Raiden's looking mad nervous. With the main demon deaded, now it's time to fight Kano. Sonya beat the shit out of Kano. Kano's using his laser eye, which Sonya then goes and fucks his face up with a hammer, crushing that laser eye. Liu Kang is getting his ass beat by Principal Lewis, and Shang Tsung figures out Quan Chi's plans for betrayal and decides to hold Quan Chi hostage. Principal Lewis is about to rip off Liu Kang's limbs. Liu Kang lets out a Goku-level scream, but before his limbs rip off, Scorpion comes in and fucking murks him with his kunai. Just one shot straight up deads Goro. Shang Tsung would try to barter a deal with Scorpion, so that in order to get to Quan Chi, he would have to first kill Liu Kang. Scorpion tricks Shang Tsung into thinking he's on board, and with that, Scorpion holds Shang Tsung hostage, and he forfeits the tournament, letting Liu Kang win. So, yeah, in this rendition, Liu Kang wins via forfeit. So much for the Chosen One. I understand that he's going to go on to face Shao Kahn, but they really should have hyped him up a little bit more than that. Give him a win against Goro or Shang Tsung, but we don't get any of that here, sadly. With the island in shambles, Liu and Raiden set out to escape. We finally get to see our main event for the evening, Scorpion versus Quan Chi. Quan Chi dishes out some insults to Scorpion about his wife. Quan Chi's got green lightning here, which is the first time I've seen that, but it looks pretty cool. He also uses it to electrify Scorpion's chains. And then Quan Chi wraps Scorpion's chains around his neck and chokes him out with his own chain. Scorpion would hit him with an X-ray headbutt to get out of there. With that, more hand-to-hand combat ensues. Rush to the finish, Liu Kang and Raiden make it on the boat, where Sonya, Johnny Cage, and Jax are there waiting for him. Quan Chi throws green fireballs. Scorpion comes in with his chain and hits Quan Chi with a spin kick with some heat on it. They then break out the swords. Quan Chi stabs Scorpion in the back and then goes in for the finish. When Scorpion then last minute dodges and proceeds to stab Quan Chi with the swords, which he then uses his swords to cut off Quan Chi's arms. Scorpion uses his signature get over here technique, and then he proceeds to rip off Quan Chi's frickin' head. And Scorpion went on to perform his classic Mortal Kombat 1-4 fatality. The finish, we see the island burn down. On the boat, Johnny Cage, Sonya share a hug as Liu Kang questions his worth. Raiden would reassure him that he's meant to take on greater challenges, such as the likes of Shao Kahn. We then see Shao Kahn beat the fuck out of Shang Tsung, and then proclaim that the next step is to invade Earthrealm, leaving this open for a sequel. This movie, as with all things Mortal Kombat, is a huge love letter to its fan base and chock full of Easter eggs. It also has a decent soundtrack, as everything always seems to match the visuals, themes. The voice acting and animation is top notch, and this was an easy and fun watch for any MK fan, highly recommended, but I gotta give this one a 4 out of 5. It's not perfect, but this movie is probably the best interpretation of Mortal Kombat that we've seen since the first film all the way back in '95. Alright, that is all for today. Guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And leave your thoughts and opinions down below. And be sure to check me out for future content. Later, trash bags.